And welcome back to the roundtable, folks. This is going to be a great episode, I suspect. This is of course, right out the gate, my phone sends a notification, right? This is going to be the August edition, 2023. We've got a number of comments to go through. I don't know why I'm getting notifications every which way. Yes, thank you. Okay. Let's jump right in because I suspect we're going to have a lot of fun in this episode. Right out the gate, user-ix. Responding to Dark Secrets, episode 12. This is the loofah code. Okay. States, I suggest that you place the loofah on your vehicle and see what happens. Please let us know. Well, user-ix, I'll tell you, don't you threaten me with a good time. Okay, because I'll do it. I've always been a very open-minded individual when it comes to adults doing adult things. My wife, not so much. A little bit more of a traditionalist. But, I get it. It's funny, and in all honesty, I would do it. I just don't think my wife would appreciate it. Becky Forbes, 4858, states, what? Chief moved to Arizona? No. Yeah, Chief had mentioned that. I don't remember what video it was. He was missing the mountains, and he was talking about, during his discovery phase, his decision-making phase, where he was also considering Arizona. I think it was the video where we were discussing the convenience elements of a turnkey package and kind of the pitfalls that you can run into there. But, Chief is a great creator. I think that he enhances the community. And I hate to lose him to Arizona. I'm sure they have, perfectly good retirement communities out in Arizona too. I just hate to lose Chief for that. So if I can support him in any way and encourage him to stay in the villages, I'm certainly inclined to do so. Dana Caro dash Herman 3530. I'm sorry if I butcher your names, guys. Internet names are not real names most of the time. Prices in the villages are high. Okay. I mean, in comparison to what? In comparison to outside the villages? Yeah. That's been the case for the last 25 years. In general, just in comparison to where they were several, 3-4 years ago, yeah, they're higher. Natural equity growth occurs over time. It occurs more rapidly than you might be expecting it to. And that's why, I tell folks all the time, buy when you're comfortable, buy when it makes sense for you. If you're looking to buy in the villages, but if you can buy sooner than later, chances are that's going to work out. Later is typically more, right? So, moving on, commenter. I'm sorry. I know you've put a few comments in, and I appreciate it. I have no idea how to pronounce that. I wanted to replace a dead bush with a different type. Taking the arc form literally, I assumed I needed approval. A lady in Lake Sumter office told me that wasn't needed in that case. I think what could really help is a frequently asked questions of common examples provided of what needs arc review. As for the palms, I understand As for the palms, my understanding is no approval is needed to remove them. Many people find out they are a pain to maintain and can provide nesting for unwanted creatures. So let's break this down. This kind of goes back to, and of course, this is on episode 13. It came from Ark, which we spent a lot of time with that episode on a previous comment in the last roundtable. So we're not gonna spend a lot of time with it here. Um, yes, I mean the motivations. That my understanding is the same in terms of why people are motivated to remove palm trees from the property. Um, that is in alignment with what my understanding is as well. This kind of comes back to what I was saying in that video about just give them a quick call, see what they have to say, and then follow the instructions. The instructions being fill out the form, right? So there's a written aspect to that. But just like within that video, do we necessarily want to rely on, a phone conversation solely? If you can get them to email you, or if you can put the question in the email format and request them to reply in writing that this is something that they don't need to be involved with, that would be optimal. I'm sure, and this is why I say it in such broad terms, right? I'm sure that there are numerous things that if you were to read the form in the website and take it, based on the text. Um, there's a lot of situations where you're probably going to find out that you probably didn't need to go through all of that, which is why I give the advice to give them a quick call. Roseanne in Corbia 3193 says, "Take those boys to see the trains," and this comes off of episode 15. All aboard for the villages. That was a you know, sometimes I commit to myself for follow through, right? And it's like, okay, I don't know what the content is in Realtor Reacts, right? I'm picking it based off of the title and the contributor, um, and we're talking about model trains, and I'm trying to use this as a jumping off point to illustrate all the various things that you can kind of encompass in that lifestyle definition, the things you can get into, right? This is my mother-in-law. So naturally, she wants me to take the boys to see the trains. But, and I challenge her on this, if they break anything, are you going to pay for it? Something to think about, Mom. I love you, Mom. Okay. Thank you for watching the video, and thank you for commenting. Thank you, everybody, for commenting. I forgot to say that last time, and I had to put it in a video down the road. Buzzer Baby. We love your reaction videos. This was 2 weeks ago. This is also off of the All Aboard. Okay. We love your reaction videos. Thank you, Buzzer Baby. I love doing them. It's nice getting a different perspective to the original content. Mm-hmm. We love to see you react to Robert. I'm not even going to attempt that last name. Videos about his perspective of the villages. But you might want to preview his content first. Language. Keep the videos coming. I will certainly keep the videos coming. I was talking to my eldest son Alexander the other day about Realtor Reacts and kind of the purpose of that show. Right, it's a perpetuity show. So long as the internet exists, Realtor Reacts can exist. It's not really supposed to be the mainstay. It's not really the intent purpose behind the channel. It's more entertainment than it is informative. Although I try my best to find opportunities to put stuff that you might find useful as a prospective future resident. Really, the Insight series is supposed to be the flagship show, but production has been slowed, and I've more or less, and I want to put this out here right now, I've more or less resigned myself to launching the Insight series again, the version 2, in January. So I'm going to take the remainder balance of this year, excuse me, to get quite a few of those done and in the backlog for the channel. And then we'll start releasing them on their Wednesday schedule beginning in January. That's my goal as of right now, to do that, because trying to do Realtor Reacts on a weekly release schedule, and then I've got Roundtable on a monthly. And Roundtable was supposed to come out last week. right? And what I've discovered is trying to do anything in the first week of the month, regardless of the month, is challenging because I have all kinds of new renters in town, and folks who have a lot of questions, and so I tend to get busy in the first week. Um, but I have one other show that's in development right now, um, aside from Insight Series and aside from Riots Reacts, that it's going to kind of round out the YouTube channel part. And, you know, I have to be careful because I don't want the quality to dip too low by spreading myself out too thin. I'm one person, I do all the editing myself. Um, and so I want it to be worthwhile content to engage with. But I will certainly keep Riots Reacts coming. I will take a look at this individual. I'll review his content. If you want to see me react to his videos, I'm happy to do that. I'm not overly concerned. I appreciate the heads up about the language. I'm not overly concerned with language. Um, I'm not made of glass, right? We're all grown ups here. I've got the specs on the back end of the YouTube channel of the age groups that engage with my content. I'm surprised that 41% is over 65, but I suspect those are my residents here in the villages, just making sure that I'm setting proper expectations and not bad mouthing the community, which I would never do. So I will certainly take a look at that. I'll try and get that if it makes sense. Um, if there's some value there, Buzzer Baby, I will I will add him into the rotation. As I mentioned before, I have a schedule now. I have Realtor Reacts kind of laid out for about 33 episodes going forward, but I can certainly shift some stuff around and plug them in if it makes sense to do that. So thank you for the suggestion. Thank you for the comment. Okay, commenter. I'm sorry. I really wish I could. K. No idea. Okay. 9 days ago, coming off of, I've got this bond, now what, in the villages. And this was talking about bond payoffs and kind of different perspectives on how to approach the bond and what you could possibly, take as an outlook for the bond. Can someone literate on the subject of these villages bonds, clarify who is making the interest on them? When these first started in my old state, it was revealed that the developer was getting paid on the long-term interest. So I'm going to assume that's a bad thing for you. Like you don't like that. I've always thought the price of the home should be the price including development costs, period. Yeah, and you're welcome to take that perspective. I mean, a lot of people agree with you. That's just not factually how it works in the villages. That's not how it works in a lot of CDDs. Okay, Facebook, you just calm down over there, Facebook. I saw this comment come in, and I went on a little adventure to try and see if I couldn't give you a definitive answer. I know, more or less the answer to this question, but I want to be, because I'm on the internet, right? I want to be as accurate as I can be, particularly in this setting, okay, where I have time to go and kind of look into these things. So let me share this with you, right? I came over here to the development district website, okay, and I shot over to frequently asked questions because this comes up from time to time. A lot of folks, they don't like the idea of the developer profiting off of the infrastructure costs, okay, or the bonding system, right? I get it. I went down here to finance bond, right? Makes sense based on the question. This is what comes up. I've read through this. It does nothing to answer the question. You're welcome to read through it. There is some valuable information in there in terms of the bond and how it functions and what expectations to have moving forward with it. But this is not the first time I've encountered this question. It's not the first time that I've attempted to answer this question. The last time was over a decade ago, and I want to say it was Mike Burnings, who was an executive team leader over at Properties of the Villages, and I tried to get an understanding on this, right? For the same reasons that you're asking the question, right? It's a point of contention, okay? I'm going to give you my understanding, bearing in mind that this information is not publicly available anywhere that I can find or that I'm aware of. Now, I could be wrong. I want to be very clear about this. I can be wrong on this. Okay? My understanding is it works like this. The developer initially lays out the cost of the infrastructure. The CDD, through their governmental powers, then issues bonds. Those bonds can be consumed by any and all investors. Okay? I don't know where they issued the bonds at. I don't know where you purchased these bonds, right? That's never really been clear to me. I know that they get issued, okay? And I imagine that because they're a fairly reasonable interest rate and they're, fairly solid in terms of a guaranteed return as an investment vehicle, right? They get gobbled up pretty quick, right? I'm sure there's a group out there somewhere who, has this as part of their investment portfolio. And then those monies that the CDD derives from the bond issuance then get sent back to the developer to reimburse them for laying out the initial cost. And this is kind of a function of a CDD government, right? Now, with all that being said, as far as I know, there is nothing that precludes the developer from purchasing the bonds, right? Again, it's an investment vehicle and it's available for purchase. Okay. As far as I know. But speculating, right? If there was something that precluded the developer from purchasing the bonds, and because I've worked around here for quite a while, right? I know that there is let's call it a sister company, okay? A holdings company that exists, right? That Villages Inc. and Properties of the Villages utilizes to diversify their investments when they have excess money that they don't have going into infrastructure costs or development costs. Okay. Here's why I suspect that this probably isn't the case here in the Villages. They can get, when you have that level of money, okay, when you have that much liquid asset, you can get better interest rates utilizing different investment vehicles than what the bond puts forward, right? It wouldn't make sense to me from an investment perspective to tie up my money in a long-term vehicle like that at the interest rates. And a lot of those interest rates are like 3.25%, 4.5%. There's a handful of them that are like 6.25%, right? This is broken out by districts, by neighborhoods. Whatever the prevailing rate was at the time the bond issuance occurred. So it wouldn't make sense for me. It wouldn't be the optimal way for the Villages to make money. Villages Inc., the corporate body, with their let's call them slush funds, right? Excessive investment funds, right? So can they do it? I suspect they could. And even if there was something precluding them from doing it directly, in the state of Florida, you can always set up a holding company and indirectly do it. So, there's that, right? I don't suspect that they're doing that. My goodness, notifications. Must be a lot going on. Oh, my son's got school. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question. Kate C. 4096. 7 days ago, coming off of It Came from ARC episode 13. Okay. I understand that if you take down a tree with leaves, you need to replace it to maintain air quality. Is this true? Kate, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't think that is the case. This is really going to be a CDD question. As I had mentioned in a previous, and I'm sorry, Kate, I didn't see this comment come in initially, so this is my first time encountering it. Otherwise, I would have looked into this for you. My understanding is that CDD's involvement with tree removal, okay, has to do more with protective status around conservation, okay? and that has to do with the type of tree and the age of the tree. Um, I don't know where that conservation comes from. I don't know if that comes from the county or the state or, so I don't think this is true. Um, but that's the extent that I'm able to answer that question. I don't know. Okay, sorry. Alice. I'm not going to butcher your last name, Alice. One day ago. Okay, this came off of the most recent episode of Realty Reacts. Tough conversations. That was a tough episode. Um, let's see here. Donald Trump put his bad stain on the villages, made it look like a Okay, what is this? MAGA. Okay, freak show. Very unfortunate. Alice, I realized that in that episode there was a degree of political conversation happening. Okay, I don't have an issue with your comment. Okay, what I'm concerned with and what I want to discourage very strongly is the idea that the comment section is a venue for political discourse. Okay, it's not. I want to be very very clear about that. This is not a political discussion channel. I'm not interested in the least in getting into these type of conversations on this channel. I don't have any problem, as I stated in the video. I don't have any problem at all having a one-on-one conversation with somebody, whether I agree or disagree with them. Okay, everybody, is going to have their outlook and their position, and I respect that. Okay, um, I'm not going to remove the comment. I'm not going to censor anybody here, but if we can refrain from this going forward, I very much appreciate it, Alice, if you wouldn't mind. Okay. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video and comment, though. I appreciate it. All right, Willie Galligan, 2661. I must be like the only person who doesn't have like a number behind their name. I guess you would have to if you're going to use your real name. I don't spend a lot of time putting comments in. Let's see here. What's Willie have to say? What you won't find in the villages. Okay. Riots. Okay, Willie. Meth heads breaking in the cars. You won't find anything ghetto-ish. Ghetto-ish. Uh, and that is by design. Okay, I see where we're going. All right. 99% of people are 99% of people are good with that. It's a place I don't worry if I leave my keys in the golf cart. Um, no comma or period or anything, so it's okay. We're just gonna keep. I'm not worried if it won't be there in the morning. Okay. So Willie's a resident. Great. Love our residents. What you won't find in the villages. Riots. I laugh, Willie. I laugh because I'm trying to imagine a group of retirees rioting. Quite frankly, it's funny. You can roll up in the local commercial district in the golf car and start smashing windows and running out of there. No, probably not going to happen. Not something I would expect to see in any 55 community, to be honest. Meth heads breaking into cars. Meth, as I understand it, kind of like the crack epidemic of the 90s, right? Meth is really more the suburbs, kind of middle America drug, right? Inexpensive to produce, easy to get a hold of, tends to compromise judgment, and has profound exterior. Um, you can tell when somebody is engaging with this meth. Meth heads breaking in the cars. it's a very specific. Okay, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. You're not going to find that in the villages, right? I don't know how many methods there are. I never stopped to count them. You won't find anything ghetto-ish. I don't know what ghetto-ish is. Um, I mean, I grew up in North Miami in an impoverished neighborhood. So, were there things that people had to do to get by? Were there times when you didn't have the money or the resources to do it the way you knew it should be done? So you had to jerry rig something up? Um, if that's ghettoish, I don't know how you're defining ghettoish, right? Willie, I guess we have different perspectives on this, right? I wouldn't expect any of these things in the villages or any 55 or older community, but I grew up in impoverished neighborhoods, right? I grew up being one of the few Caucasian persons in a neighborhood, right? I think when I went to middle school in Miami, I was one of two in the entire school. Um, I had a lot of Haitian friends. I had a few Cuban friends. When I moved up to Central Florida as a teenager, um, I moved into an area that was predominantly Puerto Rican. So I've never lived in an environment, save the villages, that was predominantly Caucasian, right? I get the inference. I don't want to put words in your mouth here. Um, I'm a little, your comment on its face, not the end of the world, right? It's attached to a conversation around diversity in the community. The optics, uh, that's if we care much about the optics. But I will take issue with this though. 99% of people are good with that. If the implication of the comment is that the lack of diversity leads to these things not being part of the village's makeup, um, and everybody's okay with a lack of diversity, right? If that's the 99%, I feel you're overinflating your number. Okay. I feel like the percentage of people who aren't entirely comfortable with the lack of diversity, and there is a lack of diversity, that's not disputable, okay, in the community. Um, I feel like the percentage is probably closer to maybe 60-40 or even less, right? I don't think anybody wants people breaking into cars or rioting or any of this type of stuff, ghettoish things that you're referring to here. Place I don't worry about leaving my keys in the golf cart. Well, that's great. The by design thing, I get it. You're throwing what I said back at me here. But it's not by design. The villages, and I stated this very clearly in the video, there's no bar on the community, right? The developer never intended for it to be, ethically. The only color they care about is green, right? It's a business, it's a corporation, right? This is a for-profit endeavor, okay? And I worked with them. This question came up, and I can assure you the response I got led me to believe nothing other than, um, regardless of where you come from in the world, or what your background is, or what your skin color is, if you can buy in the villages, they're going to sell you a home in the villages, okay? The fact that the majority of the community happen to be from one skin tone or likeness was completely accidental. It really was. Um, and like I said in the video, it will change over time, whether you like it or not. That's just how things go. Okay, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry if this offends you in any way, um, but I've seen it happen. So that pretty much wraps up our episode. Thank you everyone for subscribing and continuing to support the channel. Willie, I hope you don't take it personal. I try and end on a high note. I try and be fair and equitable. I'm glad that you are comfortable with your golf car keys being out in the open. I grew up in a different environment, so I'm probably not, my risk tolerance is different. But but I've been in the villages for a long time, and I appreciate it. And the sheriff's department does do an exceptionally good job um, with tamping down the criminal elements within the community. I will say this: the makeup of the community lends itself to other issues, right? We don't necessarily. Oops, we hit the repair or not repair limit. I'm in the middle of a transaction right now. We're dealing with repairs. We hit the record limit. Um, so the point I was making, right? The makeup of the community and the type of community that the villages is going to lend itself to different issues, right? We're not going to have riots. We're going to have golf cart parades. And sometimes, like anytime you get a large group of people together, right, you're going to have incidents and you're going to have people who don't behave properly. Okay. We're not going to have meth heads in the villages, right? We probably are going to have folks who are going to develop opioid addictions, right? That's probably going to happen, right? A lot of surgeries, a lot of corrective surgeries in this age group, right? Knees, hips, stents, so on and so forth, right? So it wouldn't surprise me at all to find out that people are suffering from opioid addictions and getting treatment and help for that. I certainly hope they would be. Not going to find anything ghettoish. But here's the thing, right? And this is something I was having a conversation with my wife about the other day, right? We've both been here for quite a while. Okay. I suspect you have as well, Willie. And the community is changing. It's aging. Okay. The product is aging, right? I'm encountering more and more homes in less than desirable condition as the years march on here. The expenses around getting these homes back up and in a like new condition for resale is something that a lot of my residents weren't that wasn't a conversation that had happened right when they were purchasing a lot of these homes new or newer. So you know it's not by design. And I guess the point I'm making is that we shouldn't take it for granted that the villages cannot backslide into a state similar to but different than what you're putting forward here. It is possible. Okay. Um, you know, you drunk and disorderly. Okay. DUIs, right? Inappropriate conduct between individuals on a town square. And Willie, you know what I'm talking about. Right? The villages news, when something happens in the villages, it tends to go national these days. A lot of eyeballs on us now. So, because we're number one in the country, okay, for retirement communities. I would say this. I understand your frustrations, and you're looking at these things and you're putting them forward, and you're saying, "Hey, not in my town." Okay, but your town isn't that way by design. It's that way because we all love and respect the community, and we're all stewards of the community. And don't think for a moment that it can't backslide, right? If we take our eyes off the ball. Okay, it has nothing to do with diversity, right? It has to do with the outlook on the community and the pride and ownership within the community. All right. I don't mean to lecture. I'm not trying to lecture. I'm just saying, you know, nobody is above this or beyond it. Okay, it can happen anywhere if we lose vigilance, right, in maintaining the aspects of the community that we cherish. And with that, I will end this episode of the Roundtable before it gets too darn long. So, guys, thank you so much for participating, leaving comments. Willie, thank you for leaving your comment. Um, I've had a great time. I very much enjoy this as part of my um, day, week. Okay. Um, yeah. You guys have a great one. Take care of yourselves. Take care of others where you can. If you're not already in the villages, we hope to have you in the villages soon. Have a great one.